Hello, BookTube. We're continuing with the tour of my little book room here, which is crammed with books. There are books everywhere in here. They aren't edging out onto the floor. They aren't in piles, but every inch of wall space is taken here, plus the nightstand. And a lot of you were inordinately bothered by that blank shelf there, so I put something on there. And we are just moving through this next Joe bookcase. I've got a whole wall of interlocked, rock solid tall, thin bookcases here. Uh, so we'll deal with the crosswise books first, and then we'll deal with the shelf. This should be fairly straightforward. This first one is from 1927, and this is Grey of Faladon, Viscount Grey of Faladon, who once upon a time, Faladon was the home seat. It was his country place. And once upon a time, he was known. Grey of Faladon was a name that was known. And he wrote a bunch of stuff. He was a statesman and a government official. If you've ever, it's the oddest thing, the thing that gets us our toehold on immortality. If you've ever studied the great world wars of the 20th century, then you might be familiar with the phrase, the lights are going out all across Europe. And that was him. That was Grey of Faladon. I don't think he's remembered for anything else. And he's not remembered for that. No one attributes that to him. But he wrote a book on birds. He was a big nature guy. He wrote a book called The Charm of Birds, with this dorky cover. And that's him on the cover. And it's just, it's got woodcut engravings there by Gibbons, I think, is the name of the artist. I wonder if you will tell me. Robert Gibbons, yes. And that's all this is. It's just a bird book, but I love it. It's full of, well, charm. It's a charming little book by a man who had a lot of bigger things on his mind. Okay, then this next one belongs in here, but it was a gift from one of you. I whined about it on a video, and one of you sent me the illustrated Dune, this trade paperback of Frank Herbert's classic, but full of these weird, trippy pictures. I have had this a million times, the illustrated Dune. I've had it a million times. And we were doing a Dune read-along. One of many Dune read-alongs that I've done on this channel. I do Dune read-alongs and Lord of the Rings read-alongs and whatnot. I never get admitted into the science fiction and especially the fantasy booktube. I can do as many of those read-alongs as I want. I can demonstrate that I've read these works a million times, that I love them. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They do not want outsiders. They especially don't want outsiders who read anything other than the one thing, and I do, and I'm always going to. So I'm out. But I was doing a Dune read along, and I whined that I didn't have at the moment a copy of the illustrated Dune, and I think I even mentioned that maybe it was really expensive and collectible online. But one of you found it, and I think a library sale, something like that, not expensive at all. You are absolutely not. You are absolutely not to go to any book expense on my behalf. You're absolutely not to do that. So those are the two Transwise books, and then we have the shelf. Let's see what we have here. So the first one is the Penguin Classics book, which also was a gift from one of you. And it's gorgeous, really. It's just a tour through all the Penguin Classics. And I am currently going through all the Penguin Classics that I have read on this channel. So you would think that that would send me back to this book. I haven't been back to this book yet. Instead, I've just been to my Penguin Classics shelf, the physical shelf, and also the ebook shelf. And that's all. But maybe that will change. Maybe I should just go through this thing and comment on every book that's in here. That would be a lot of fun. Then also two more gifts from you. This is Penguin and the Lane Brothers. A slim account of the publishing phenomenon of Penguin Classics. And then Penguin Special, a larger account of the same story. So I've got three Penguin books just sitting there in a row. Oh, all right. Then we have Frederick Pottle. He's come up a few times on this channel. I think we've already seen him. I think at some point earlier we saw his Boswell's London Journal. Pottle made a whole lifetime's career out of James Boswell, the great biographer of Samuel Johnson. And he did multiple volume biography of Boswell, just pouring through Boswell's papers and all of the primary sources. Boswell's an incredibly documented life. And he did one, Boswell for the Defense. If you remember, I don't remember when it was days ago, where we saw Boswell's London Journal, very much similar cover design, cover artwork. I love these volumes. I'm sorry, but I do. I just love them. Boswell is such an interesting figure. Gross, but interesting. And he's so human. I think that's why he has charmed so many people. It's the same reason that Samuel Pepys does. He's so human. And Johnson is not always human. When he is, he's extra human. But when he's not, he's... I go back to this Boswell for the defense, because Boswell was a lawyer. If you read The Life of Johnson and you see this bumptious, pretentious moron, the idea of Boswell defending you in court would be horrifying, but it's still fascinating to do. It's still fascinating to go through. Okay. Then we have a letter collection. There are some letter collections in here. There could be more. These are the letters of Randall Jarrell, which I go back to all the time. His voice was perfectly captured in these letters. He was a wonderful, wonderful snail mail correspondent. Those of you who are born in the 21st century will not have any experience of what that's like. To work on a letter, maybe to make a copy, to have a stack of blank envelopes, to have a roll of stamps, to go to the post office or to a mailbox. Are there still mailboxes? Go to a mailbox and mail that letter off. And you're thinking, okay, well, if you're really into snail mail culture, which I was, and so was Jarrell, you send that letter off and you're thinking, okay, well, it's in the mailbox. But the mail person is not going to open that box and start it on its way until tomorrow, because I was too late getting to the box today. Okay, so that's one day. And then how long is that letter going to take to get to its recipient? 2 more days. And then they're going to get it and they're going to read it. And how long is it going to take them to write back to all the vital questions, all the vital big subjects that you raised in your snail mail letter? How long is it going to take them to write a response? And you will gauge that by how fast a writer you know each recipient is. And then you will do the reverse. You will start to calculate how long is it going to take their letter to get back to you. And you'll be waiting that whole time. You'll be eager that whole time. Every day's mail that comes will have bills and circulars and promotional material from publishers if you're in the book world, and it will also have personal letters. And I don't know. Quite a few of you who watch this channel are bitterly old, so probably you remember those days. I don't know what your ritual was. My ritual was always to save the personal letters for last. So I would settle with the day's mail, the stack of the day's mail. And I had a letter opener. Again, those of you in the 21st century will not know what that means. Think of it as a kind of a knife that you use for opening letters, as opposed to using your finger. You would use a letter opener. Actually, for a long time, my letter opener was, in fact, a knife. And that all the charm of that is captured here. Old letter collections, I know you've probably heard the familiar lament in the 21st century that there won't be volumes like this anymore for email. And I think that I ordinarily decry Chicken Little type stuff like that, but I think that's probably true. Can I find emails of mine from 10 years ago? I don't think so. Certainly not systematically. I don't think so. And what about from 15 years ago? Or even 2025? What about 20 years ago? Can I find the first email that I ever wrote to anybody? I remember what it was. I remember who received it. But does it exist anymore? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And I think that holds true for the life in letters side of things as well. The earliest correspondence that an author had with their publisher in the early 2000s, is that correspondence still around? Does that exist anywhere? Is there any machine that can read it? I don't know. It makes old style letter collections all the more enjoyable. I love them. I have to resist the urge to just buy all of them. There are tons of them out there, but this one is extra charming. Okay. This next book is Losing Music by John Cotter. And then we'll move on. The one after that is this big thing, The Assassin's Cloak, a gigantic collection of diaries that is wonderfully done. It's set up by date. So 13 March, let's say. 13 March starts off with Ford Madox Brown writing in 1856. It moves on to Virginia Woolf in 1921. There's an entry in 1941 from Joseph Goebbels. Uh, this is all the same date, just separated. There's J.R. Ackley, writing in 1949, and then Roy Jenkins in 1979. So, and they do that for every date, going back a century or more. So you get this wonderful mosaic of what was on people's minds and what were they writing in their journals on that one date. This is the ultimate bedside book, the ultimate nightstand book. Not to read your way straight through, although in the course of a year, of course, you will, but rather to keep the bookmark at today's date and read just that as your nightly reading. I've done that with this book a couple of times in a couple of different years, and it's just wonderful. Just wonderful. Okay, then we have a big anthology. This is a poetry anthology. This is edited by Catherine Watchburn and John Major, and it is World Poetry from Norton. Yes? Yeah, from Norton. Great big thing I use. Oh my God, I have studied and pored over every inch of this book. It's one of my favorite poetry anthologies. It covers all of time, but also all of culture, so that it goes back 5,000 years, but it isn't just Li Po and Tu Fu and Horace and Catullus and then Spenser and then Milton. It's lots of poetic traditions in lots of different societies that don't make it into anthologies, hence the title. And the title really is borne out. This is, for me, I don't know, other people will have different tastes, but for me, it's infinitely revisitable. I've gone back to that book so many times. In fact, I bought my way through a couple of copies because I just tear it apart. I fill it with clippings and bookmarks and annotation, and then the binding cracks and the thing looks like it's going to start coming out in tufts. And then I have to find another copy and have that 2-hour stretch in the afternoon where I put my battered old copy down on a desk and I put the new copy next to it and I copy out the annotations in pencil from the one to the other so that I'm not losing anything when I throw away that volume. All right, so let's see here. Let's make sure that's sitting there right. All right, so then we have the last one, and this is old National Geographic hardcovers. National Geographic did a bunch of original hardcovers. They were original, but they reprinted a lot of articles from National Geographic, older articles, along themes. And I love these books. I just love them. I go back to them all the time. Of course, I go back to, there's a volume on dogs that I go back to more than any other, except maybe this one. There's one on medieval England. There's one on England just in general. There's one on the ancient world that's really good. But this one I think did better than any other volume of theirs, and I go back to this one more than any of the others. And this is Men, Ships, and the Sea, which actually came out in 2 different sizes. There are 2 copies of this book in this room. I wonder if I can grab the other one just to show you. I wonder if it's convenient. Oh, we have so many more books to do. We have so many more books to do. No, I'm not even seeing it. But there's another copy of this book in this room that is a slightly different size. But this is what I mean. This is National Geographic, and they did these volumes where they break it down by subject matter: war at sea, shipping, the evolution of sailing vessels, and they give you artwork and National Geographic photos. Models of ships all throughout here. Just wonderful, wonderful stuff. You have these end papers where they scrupulously list all the people who are involved in the production of the work. You've got the anatomy of a ship as the end papers. You've also got original artwork, though. I want to see if I can find an example. Yeah, you've got original artwork as well. National Geographic always did have that in their issues. I think they still do. This is probably it for me. I mean, I love all the others. Most of them are together in another part of this tour that we'll get to in a few days. But this one is separate because I have 2 copies, and also because the others are on the bottom shelf of a Joe bookcase down by the floor, and I go back to this one so regularly that I wanted it at chest level. I wanted a copy easily where I could get it. So there are two copies here. One of them is down there and is full of clippings, and then there's this one here just because I'm going to use it. I'm going to want to go back to it. So that is this shelf. I'm still standing up for these videos, but that won't last forever. We're going to work our way all the way down to the ground. So I'll wrap this up for now, and I will see you next time. Thank you.